So if you're going to do this reset, if you're going to do this pivot, don't do it alone. Do it with your household. Because here's maybe symptoms that can make us realize that we are probably over-reliant on sugar. One symptom is this: you feel the need to eat every 2 hours. Your concentration seems to be dropping mid-morning. You're experiencing an afternoon slump. You're feeling hungry or irritable between meals. You feel shaky or dizzy. Your over-reliance on caffeine and sugar to keep you going. You have cravings for sweet foods and snacks in between meals. You feel lightheaded if you're late for a meal. And by the way, if I just might say, the most dangerous drug available in the world today is called sugar. It destroys our gut, it destroys even our moods, and it can destroy our life. And this is why Jack LaLanne said, exercise is king, nutrition is queen. Bring them together, and you'll have a kingdom of wellness. How do you do it? I like Michael Pollan, though, because, again, nutrition, eating food, it can be a very complicated topic. But Michael Pollan simply gave 3 pillars on what to do when you pivot to eating real foods. First pillar, eat real food. What is it? Real food is just 2 things. It must have a face, or it must have roots. So when you look at your Twinkies, does it have a face? No, it doesn't have a face. Does it have roots? No, it doesn't have roots. So that's not a real food. When you look at that donut, for example, does it have a face? Yeah, you can draw a face on it. No. Does it have roots? No, it's not real food. A fish, it has a face. That's real food. A cow, your husband, your wife. No, I'm just kidding. Eat something that has a face or has roots. The coconut has roots. Second pillar, eat mostly plants. There's one thing that all the doctors and nutritionists all agree, although they say you should eat this over this and this over that, and they don't agree on that, but there's one thing that they all agree. Eat mostly plants. And here's a third, not too much. It is from the Japanese concept of harahachibu, where the Japanese say before they eat, harahachibu is you eat until you're about, if I believe, 80% full. And because of that, it takes a while for the signals of your stomach to travel to your brain for you to say that you're full. And so when you're 80% full, that's when you're actually, or when your brain thinks you're only 80% full, you're actually already 100% full. Eat real foods. It has to have a face. So when you transition, when you pivot from food-like substances into real foods, have a face. Ask, does this have a face or does it have roots? Second, eat mostly plants. Third, not too much. Now again, I do have to be honest because, man, eating all that rice, eating all that carbs, eating all that sugar, that donut, eating all of those chips, eating all of that fast food, it feels good. I have to be honest, it feels good. But it doesn't feel good. It feels good, but it doesn't feel good. However, eating real foods feels good, and it does feel good. Have you ever noticed this, by the way? That when it's easy actually to eat unhealthy, or rather it's easy to eat healthy, but it's easier to eat unhealthy. And so when you look at this pivot of eating real food-like substances, it has to have a face. It has to have roots. Mostly plants, not too much. I'm reminded of this command of God in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. And God said, "Look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth and all the fruit trees for your food." Again, Dr. Mark Hyman, if God made it, eat it. If man made it, leave it. God had created that food to spring out from our ground for a reason. God had created the things that are in our gardens for a reason. That's the real food. Can I have your ears full? That is your medicine. Your medicine is the food that you eat. Let's pivot in that area po, village. How do we increase our chances for success? One, we have to approach cutting our sugar intake. So here's following tips po. And again, this is from Dr. Chatterjee in his book, How to Make Disease Disappear. Increase your chances by one, plan limited social engagements for the first 2 weeks. Why? Because we're going to a party. Oh, you can't eat well when you're in a party, in a sense. You're going to a Christmas something, or you're going to a Thanksgiving something, or you're going to a friend's house, and when they prepare food, of course you have to eat it. So maybe if you're doing this reset, plan limited engagements. At least for the first 14 days, for the first 2 weeks. These are the hardest times when cutting out, reducing your sugar intake. When you're around other people, their chocolate and their cookies can be a big source of temptation. Here's a second tip. Keep healthy snacks readily available at home or at work or even the car. Carrots, hummus, celery, nut butter, a piece of fruit or some olives. One of my patients used to take boiled eggs into work, which she could eat anytime she felt peckish. A third from Chatterjee, remove artificial sweeteners. You need to retrain your taste buds. And artificial sweeteners will sabotage that process by maintaining your damaged sense of what sweetness really is. By the way, I remember when we did our webinar in Cali Fitness, and we had our discussion groups in a time of question and answer. Somebody asked something that is very important. Coach Josh, when I begin to pivot from eating food-like substances to eating real foods, in other words, I go to the grocery and I choose the better produce. It's organic, it's real food. It's actually more expensive. So what would you say to somebody who is, in a sense, struggling financially and saying, it's expensive to pivot, it's expensive to choose real foods, organics, and so on and so forth. And so I told them, I took a deep breath and I said, you have to pray. I'm just kidding. I guess maybe one practical step, maybe there's some things that we can do, but the thing that I thought of is maybe there's some things in our lives that the way we spend can be adjusted. Like just for example, you're subscribed to Netflix and Hulu at the same time, and Disney Plus at the same time, and Apple TV at the same time. So you have all of these subscriptions, but we're not really taking advantage of it. Maybe one way is to cut it down. Maybe just use one or none at all. And what you cut down on that, you can actually translate into getting better food. Or maybe it's, look at it from this perspective. Again, this is Michael Pollan when he said, better to pay the grocer than the doctor. It's better to pay the grocer than the doctor. And that's why we have to increase our chances of success. So another tip from Dr. Chatterjee, include some protein in every meal. Meat, fish, eggs, nuts, seeds. Protein keeps you feeling full for longer, which helps avoid sugar cravings. Last tip, be prepared. Get into the habit of keeping emergency snacks with you, especially when traveling. I'll take with me a can of wild salmon, some nut seeds, which will help me resist temptation when I'm out, hungry, and surrounded by sweet scents and alluring packets.
Thank you again for watching our YouTube videos. We hope that these messages encourage you and inspire you to move forward within your life. If you have further discussions or want to have further discussion, we have questions right below in our description box, so just click that. And we believe here that life is better connected, so feel free to share the content, like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you get further notifications on what we're doing here and the messages to come. So with that, thank you for watching our videos. We'll see you again.